But I want to thank everybody that's here this morning. We're learning a little bit how to use the technology. We're not there yet, but hopefully we will get there soon. And so we've started what we call a library study group. We call this the NK Institute of Human Advancement. We're doing our best to bring you the best. Our theme at the moment is to develop great leaders of great companies to be socially responsible, to create great places to work. A miracle happened a year ago where 181 of the top corporations in America and about 1,000 members to the World Economic Forum made a new commitment to shift from profits only to become socially responsible. That means to make a shift, instead of just looking at profits, they're going to try to treat customers much better than they've treated them in the past and the way they treat them now. I've tried to reach AT&T the last 3 months. It's impossible to reach them. The focal point also is to change the relationship with employees, to invest in their employees, to train their employees. They made a new responsibility to have a new and better relationship with their suppliers. They're saying we're seriously now going to look at the environment. We're going to look at our community and we're going to be more responsible members of this community. And lastly, they said they're going to make a dynamic shift from short-term thinking to long-term planning. They've made this commitment, but I'm not sure if anyone is living up to it. If you know, please let me know which companies that you consider are really socially responsible. That's our goal, is to make a great place for people to work. You get up in the morning and you're excited to go to work. There's no fear in you, the way there's so much fear in the workplace. So that's our goal, to work with you and to find great leaders. And I've been very fortunate to find great people that will participate and lead these events. Currently, we're doing it every 2 weeks. I hope in the future we will do it every week. This week, Kazuyoshi Hisano. To me, he is the world's best coach. The world's best coach. He's a CEO coach. He's coached over 200 CEOs. He's now working with 25. It's amazing. What does he do differently? He's going to be sharing that with you today. What he does uniquely different is to bring the best out of you. He has no agenda. He doesn't really bring, I bring an agenda. I mean, I've studied lean for so much of my life now, and I've taught what I call the Harada method, and now I'm learning from Hisano, his gold vision method. And so when I come to people, I bring what I know. Kazu does it differently. He knows that inside you is everything that's necessary. It's inside you. As Lou Tice said, everyone is born a genius. You were born a genius, and then what happens? Well, Kazu knows that genius is inside you, and he has developed a talent by asking you the right questions to bring it out. In 2 weeks, I'm going to cover more in depth. I'm preparing now what I call a certification course to be socially responsible. I've been working very hard on this to come up with the questions to bring out the best of you, that you could lead your companies to this wonderful new direction, which is being socially responsible. On January 7th, Amadeus is going to talk about social technical systems. I don't know how familiar you are with social tech. I discovered that many, many years ago. In fact, in World War II, England needed coal. They couldn't get oil. They needed coal, and they wanted to make the coal more productive. So they asked Eric Triss to go out and study which is the most productive mind? And he found one. And when he went there, he only saw workers, no supervisors, no managers, no HR, no accounting. Everything was done by the people working in the mine. And it triggered in his mind, how could we develop a system to teach that throughout the world? And so he, with Albert Churns and Lou Davis, great people, developed social technical systems. I always felt that if we took social technical systems and lean, or the total production system, you'd have the world's best production process by far. There are a number of companies that are social tech. The difficulty, and a lot of big companies like Procter & Gamble has one plant that I know of. The difficulty was being able to spread that. So I'm sure this is going to be an exciting event by Ahmed. 2 weeks after that, Colin Beard is coming back. He wants to talk more with us about the joy in work. He's serious about that. Work should be joyous. It should be fun. It should be thrilling. And of course, it should be very, very hard. 2 weeks after that, we'll have Nigel Thurlow. Nigel Thurlow is probably one of the most famous people in the Agile community. He wrote a new book called The Flow System, and he'll run the session February 4th. February 8th, Richiyo Shingo. Richiyo Shingo is the son of Shigeru Shingo. Richiyo Shingo was the president of Toyota China, and he's going to talk to us about making lean work. So I hope that you out there will participate more with me. You'll recommend speakers, or you yourself will recommend speakers. Now at this time, I'd like to turn over the session to Kazuyoshi Hisano. I've had the privilege these last 6 months to work on his latest book called CEO Coaching. What he's doing is he's telling CEOs that you could grow your organization 100 times, not double it, not 10 times, but 100 times. The only limitation there is what's in your mind. And if you could break out of that limitation, you can grow exponentially. Your companies can grow and you individually can grow. So, Kazu, thank you for being here. And could you take over, please? Thank you.
Okay, Norman. Thank you for the introduction. And can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So today it's different from usual that we are using the webinar, which means that I'm not able to see your faces, and I don't think we can do the breakout. So it's gonna be some lecture combined with some these deep thoughts happening on yourself. So I usually do this like my usual coaching session or like a group coaching session. I'm gonna do some introduction of myself after this. But today I am going to run a lecture and also ask you some times a question, deep question. And if you have a piece of paper or a notebook or a pen around you, I'd appreciate you be prepared to use that so that you can jot down what comes to your mind. Today's topic is about innovation, so it's not too much going deep into your mind, but still, I would like you to ask yourself the question that I'm going to ask. And as Norma mentioned, I am Kazuyoshi Hisano, speaking from Japan. I understand this kind of difficulty around the coronavirus, but at the same time, this has opened an opportunity for us to communicate without limitation. If we had to do this without this kind of setting, I would have to usually travel to whichever country, but you are coming from various countries, which means this would not have been able to be kind of carried out. However, because of the COVID-19, it's obviously terrible, but at the same time, it's kind of helping us to move forward from the traditional way of living, working, and thinking, which was kind of developed in, of course, over the 2,000, 3,000 years of human history. But at the same time, after the World War II, particularly in 20th century, things has kind of evolved in certain way. It obviously has kind of improved the productivity and make some people happy, or at least kind of fulfilled in terms of financial. However, it kind of opens a gap between rich and poor. And also there are a lot of people around in the world who are still struggling. So many people in the world still struggling, not catching up with that kind of a technological advancement. And these days, the improvement of the technology and also the kind of 5G things, or the kind of a communication thing, accelerated by the COVID-19. It is going to further kind of widen the gap between the people who have an access to the cutting edge or leading technology and who will be left behind. It's not just about the country. This will happen in a country between, not between the countries, not just between the countries, but it would happen even in any country. Like Norman is different, but many of the kind of people who have lived long, kind of aged people, find it difficult to use the technology, and they will keep kind of unfamiliar with those technology for coming 10, 20 years. The gap will kind of expand more and more. So we have to think about that. All the corporations have to think about that. All the governments have to think about that. I hope that they are doing. But yes, there is a big change, and it's not just that the things are changing, but people like us, you and I, need to change, learn something new, and probably adapt. And 3A missile ferry shown on the screen was named by Nihat, and I found it interesting because I'm going to introduce 3 concepts and combining those three, and the acronym of all 3 are A. I didn't find that, but he mentioned that. So today's topic is about innovation. Innovation, of course, it's a big word, but I have my idea and opinion. And I know that leading professors are kind of doing a study and research at Harvard or Stanford or at any place in the world. So their kind of accomplishments are something that really I respect. I understand that. And at the same time, what I am kind of specialized is in how to use our brain effectively. You have a brain, I have a brain, and most of us have not been trained how to use it. And I will kind of highlight innovation from that perspective. And this is going to be the first time that I'm going to present this in English, which means that this is the first time that it's going to be spoken outside of Japan. I provided this similar lecture to Hitachi Corporation, which is one of the leading company in Japan, starting from yesterday in Japanese. It's a webinar version which is provided to society widely, they kind of consider that this needs to be told, all right? And therefore, it's a brand new one. I hope you enjoy. I'm not quite sure about the timing, but I think I got an hour, something like an hour. So it will kind of continue for 55 minutes from now on, something like that. Okay, here. I'm going to show this picture several times. When you see this, it means that the question is coming. The first one is this. Do you believe in your potential? Do you believe in your potential? Okay. I think you do to a certain extent. I think you have a doubt. Please use the chat bar or question, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm able to respond to all of them. I will need to ask somebody's help. Nihat and Christopher may help me afterwards. So I'm not gonna stop at each questions at this moment. But if there is a serious trouble, like a connection or internet connection, or you're not hearing my voice, please talk to somebody, and Norman or Christopher or Nihat or somebody will let me know. So here's a word from my teacher who have passed away in 2012. His name is Lou Tice. He started as a football coach and a teacher, and he expanded his coverage not only to the sports or high school, but moved into the career area of business. Okay. And what he did is to finally be the coach of some presidents of some country. Confidentiality remains there. We cannot speak. And some kind of a famous CEOs, famous sports player, and provided his courses or concepts to. He's an American. He used to live in Seattle. And what does this mean? And what is a genius? Of course, there are various definitions for that. But for this rest of 50 minutes, I would like to define this in a simple way like this. If you do think that you can do something new that nobody had ever done before, then let's start with this, that you may be a kind of a genius. Because this is something makes a difference. Somebody makes a difference. So, something new that nobody has ever done before. And today I like to call it as innovation. Of course, I'm going to step into the real or a kind of academic explanation, not spending too much time, but at least I'm going to cover that. But yeah, let's say if that is totally new, surprise everybody, maybe that is kind of an innovation. Okay, there are similar words that we want to understand. Creativity or invention. What is the difference between those? Yeah, there are some kind of a explanation. So let's look at this later. I'd like to first go to the traditional one of innovation. So Australian professor Mr. Schupenter have first defined innovation. Of course, there was a word explaining about similar thing. But the key thing is the combining things, means and resources and people. That was his idea. And by combining things, we or a corporation could build something new, totally new. This happened. He kind of wrote about this in early 20th century. So it is said that in 1911, he had kind of published a book writing about this. But before that, he wrote some paper. And of course, another guy, a famous Peter F. Drucker, he mentioned that searching for changes consciously and systematically. So this was after 50 years or something like that. From that, 1960 or 70, or could be 50. But anyway, so now we are kind of innovation was a new word 100 years ago, but now it's a kind of common word. So usually we don't need to make that big argument about innovation. Yeah, innovation is innovation. However, my friend had provided this concept and I loved it, so I like to speak about that. Invention is something, of course, new, but maybe it's close to a process or a device. On contrary, innovation makes an impact to the economy or social. This was kind of defined by Professor Carlotta Perez. So if you see that this sounds new, this is an invention, but I don't know, this is an innovation. Nobody sees this. I don't know, car or plane combination. So there are a bunch of things that has done. There's a bunch of people who have done new things and many ideas there which are not used anymore. So I don't mean that those new things are not valuable. They are, of course, a cornerstone for something new. However, what is kind of sustaining will make an impact to our life. And I think most of us would like to be part of or create something totally new that will last for a long time. My assumption is that you are kind of a genius, and I am kind of a genius. So let's think about it. The process to innovation, there are 3 steps. Simple one, to come up with new ideas, take actions, and create value for the result. If you don't make a result, it's just a good idea or a nice try. Okay, so what's the difference between creativity? This is kind of a same as 3 points, coming up with ideas, taking actions, and achieving them. And you need to create a value. So this is my opinion. Maybe we can discuss, but this part kind of closely relates to the creativity. Creativity kind of is there, but if you don't take an action, nothing will happen. But innovation needs to combine with or kind of reach to some result. This is how I perceive things, and everything starts based on this. And there I'm going to step into the 3A theory. Innovation equal autonomy and levels of abstraction in action. 3A. Well, I'm sure that you have kind of if you are an English speaker, you know the word of meaning of each of them. However, I'm going to use them slightly in a different way. So particularly in this session, I would appreciate you will follow how I define them. And by defining them, I can make kind of distinction between something that is already there. And the other thing combined with this is this, about who does innovation. Of course, this is a question for you. Who do you think it is? Organization will do it, leader will do it, individual, like an employee, or of course, everyone. So, what do you think? I don't have a voting function. I don't have a view of your faces. I can't ask you to raise your hands, but I think you are kind of some idea. And the reason I kind of put this here is the leading research and kind of papers are mostly speaking about how innovation will be created in an organization or led by the leader, which is perfectly okay because it's true. When you are particularly talking about a large corporation, what is important is to have or help people work so that they could generate new things one after another. However, my opinion, what I want to present today is this. In any case, innovation is coming from somebody's mind. It's not the organization, it's not the leader. Of course, they will need to ignite the people in the organization, but individual, each person, each people will need to do. Okay, then what is the role of leaders and organizations? Of course, they have a role. They will need to nurture. Nurturing is very important for them. So starting from the individual's mind, brain, and the leader and organization will nurture it, grow it. So individual is the leading role, is the center of innovation. And why can we say so? Yeah, intuitively, yeah, it could be said so. However, there's a reason behind that. I'd like to speak and introduce something about cognitive science, which is a background of what I do. This is about brain. It is the academic area investigating and learning, studying to understand how your brain works, my brain works, and how it kind of works together with our body and enable us to live as a human. Maybe not only a human being, but particularly for us. And like Norman introduced me, yes, I am currently supporting many CEOs. Of course, not only, but I support CEOs one-on-one basis. I sit together with them to help them think about their companies, their employees. And at the same time, I'm running an online school which has 400 students. I have two schools, and also I'm working together with Norman and various things I'm doing. And I have run 3 companies in parallel. The reason I can do this is it's not because I'm genius, it's because I am trained to use my brain effectively. I have only 24 hours, the same as you. However, I am able to use that 24 hours in an effective way and sorted out way. So you have seen the brain, or at least in the picture or drawing, but innovation could be generated from brain, but most of us have not learned it. I haven't learned it at school, at elementary, at the junior high, at any place. I have never learned. I started learning my brain when I was over 30 years old. I'm currently 46, which means I have spent 15, 16 years learning about the brain. Before that, yeah, I had some idea, but I didn't learn that. So why brain? Of course, science have moved forward, starting from psychology, which flourished a lot in 20th century. And of course, it's playing a significant role. However, psychology is a kind of area that deal with our mind, what we feel, well, roughly saying. And cognitive science is about the brain and the mind. That means what I feel, what you feel is coming from our brain. Most of us do not have an argument with that, which means that if you understand your brain, we'll be able to understand what we feel. So there's some shifts going there. And also, I'm going to explain in the next slide, but cognitive science is related to various areas. So it's not a small kind of a focused area. It's kind of a huge discipline. The reason is, and I'll talk about it's closely tied to the AI, artificial intelligence. So you see the computational linguistics, and of course there's the cognitive psychology, which has evolved from the traditional psychology, and of course functional brain science and mathematics, of course, discrete mathematical science. And this is not only about a brain, this is about how we behave, how we think. So it has a close relationship with psychology, philosophy as well. Okay, then how is it tied with the AI? If you want to create AI, this movement started, it is said to have started in 1956. It has a long history. Eventually, we need to program it. But before that, we need to understand how our brain works. Cognitive science is the area that helps us understand, or that helps the researchers understand how our brain works, and that learning will be programmed into the computer. Then it's gonna create the AI. And Lou Tice is an American, and another teacher, a master, Dr. Taisito Tsubamechi, has combined these things and created something new. What I wrote here is, most part is the outcome of Lou Tice that he has done in America. Not limited to America, but something in the Europe as well. You see companies from UK, and also in Japanese. Particularly in Japanese, it started as a kind of a corporation outside of Japan, like a Toyota USA or Canon Australia. NHK is a kind of a huge media. And the red line you see is what I am doing. I'm trying to implement and kind of deliver this to many corporations in Japan. So that's my role at this moment. So you see, this was trusted. This has a history and track record. So now I'm going to switch. What I explained about the previous slide, the kind of is the coaching method, and what I'm going to talk about the innovation combined with that. So it's that this is the supporting fact that I'm going to talk is trustable. And now I'm switching a little bit to the CEO side. I've several years ago, I've been asked, what are the challenges of the CEOs or presidents? So 5 things came up in my mind. And for top 3 are for the kind of relatively small companies. Companies need to have a sales. They need to deal with the people. Of course, their organization and hierarchy, and also they need to hire people. They need to pay. All things are included in the people and the cash flow. Cash flow is a kind of a energy. So even if they have a sales, if they run out of cash flow, the company will not be able to survive. But when it becomes big, they need to have 2 more things. The first one is process, like lean. So which Norman and many people are experts of this one. And the last one that comes is innovation. So if you look at this, innovation is very important these days, obviously. However, if you are running a company or if you are playing part in the company, what is more important is to keep the company sustainable. So you need to first have sales, you need to have people. Innovations comes last. But if you don't have innovation at all, maybe next 3 years you'll be able to survive, but after that, or after 10 years from now, you will not be able to be there or create anything new. So we always need to be prepared, think about the innovation. So therefore, kind of a later part of the 20th century, and of course in the 21st century, the innovation was a big topic for discussion for any managers, or of course any professors. So I'd like to introduce 2 famous concepts, which was kind of which started at the United States of America. So maybe let's talk about the innovator's dilemma. So this was kind of introduced by the famous Mr. Professor Christensen, and it's talking about a big company mostly, who was a good company. They were doing everything good. Like they tried to understand the market, and they invented things, developed things. They had a sales channel. They listened to their employees, and of course, they kind of did things in a fair way. They were compliant. However, even so, the company frequently failed, not only in one industry. Maybe I need to focus on this one. But in any industry, those big, gigantic, successful companies were taken over by some new corporations. And Mr. Christensen kind of revealed why that happened. And that was totally new concept for the world. And people really loved it. And it was good for a discussion topic. And after that, Mr. O'Reilly and Tashman, who are the professors at Harvard and Stanford, came in talking about, yes, there is a dilemma. But how can we deal if you are a big company who are about to be taken over? Nobody wants to lose their ground. But Mr. Christensen didn't necessarily show, to some extent he did, but didn't necessarily show the answer for that. And there was new concepts. So it's called ambidexterity, so which means that you are using right side and left hand at the same time. The concept is very simple because everybody will think about this. You need to keep doing what you are doing. That is exploitation. You need to keep doing what you are doing in a better way. go deeper in that. And at the same time, you need to explore, go out. And a big corporation doesn't have to be big, but because they are successful, they were successful, it's hard for them to explore, go out. If you are successful now, it's going to be hard, a bit challenging for you to start doing new things. So COVID-19 has changed things. So any company needs to explore a lot. But in most of the stable environment, company needs to exploit and also explore. That was kind of introduced by these gentlemen, which is obviously true. But I mentioned that it's true. It's obviously true, but it has a focus on the organization or the leader. Of course, that is a huge topic for a Harvard Business Review thing or thing like that, but we are not the executive of those companies. So what can we do? I'm coming back to the innovation. First one is very important. In the previous slide, I explained this like coming up with new idea. But what does it mean? It means this. Notice what others don't notice. If you have 10 people in a room and only you have found something, and if the other people didn't recognize that, if you do something with that idea, you are very close to innovation. If you just stop there, and maybe you're creative, maybe you start taking action, but if you keep doing that until you get results, you'll get close to the innovation. I don't know if that is going to be a life-changing innovation, world-changing innovation. However, it's an innovation for you and for the team. And those people who can create such kind of innovation will be able to make a bigger one. Then my question is, do you think you are innovative? Be honest. Be honest. It's okay, because I'm going to spend the rest 30 minutes to explain that you are able to become innovative. At least better than now. And if you keep doing, you'll be better tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, after a year. And before that, I need to introduce some things that I've learned from Tice and Dr. Tsubabe, and also what I have discovered. RAS, R-A-S, and scotoma. I think most of you are not familiar with this word. But scotoma is a word that explains about blind spots. It says that it came from Greek. And the idea is simple. We miss a lot of things because of the cognitive system of our brain. We miss a lot of things. It's simple. What does it mean? Like this one. Draw a picture of your watch without seeing it. Not now, not now. I'm not going to ask you to do it now. These days, people are not necessarily wearing watches. 10 years ago, this was a fun exercise. People draw a watch. Everybody had a watch, worn watch in. But the drawing was kind of not accurate at all. They had a number there, but they thought there was a line there. They didn't know the brand logo was where. The reason is because the watch is to look into the time, not the design. when they have purchased it, of course, they were looking into the design. But once she is wearing it, it's only the tool to understand the time, which means that the time was important and design was unimportant. Well, RAS is called the kind of short for reticular activating system, is a built-in screening system, and it blocks out or admits information depending on whether that information is important to you. So our brain sorts out based on the importance of the information. So in the previous example, the time was important and the design was not important. And of course, it's a network of cells. It is within the brain. And as you see on the left-hand side, you see the gray kind of wall. It's not actually like this, but the images is like this. There are a lot of information, sensory messages coming in. Some will be blocked out at the RAS because of the RAS, and some will go through. Okay, that's how our brain works, and therefore we are able to focus. Otherwise, we'll be kind of sort of bombarded with too many informations. And the other side of the coin is scotoma. If your brain is blocking out some information, the ones that go through to your attention are recognized as something important, and they help you make a decision. But at the same time, the things that are blocked out, they don't come in, are called scotoma. And that means there are a lot of things that we are missing. Most of the things that your brain or eye or ear are capturing are not recognized. Like most of you are sitting on the chair. You don't usually feel the pressure on the hip. But obviously your hip is doing some work to sustain your body. But this does not come to your attention. It does not have to come to your attention because it's hidden in the scotoma. The brain kind of judges that it's not important, that it doesn't have to come to your mind. So such kind of things happen around you. So my question is this one. What do you think is hidden in your scotoma? Just look around you. Just look around you. There are many things that you didn't necessarily care, but it was there, even if that is in your room. That's just an example. So understanding this, our brain has a character to sort out an information based on the importance, and that also creates the blind spots. Blind spots is the key for innovation. You need to be free from that blind spot. Innovator are people who is a little bit free, freer from those scotomas. So if you understand how to unlock that blind spot scotoma, you'll be able to become creative, innovative than now. And there's a reason I'm putting these here, but not have gone into these yet. So let me start with the autonomy. How can we get people to work autonomously? So look at this. There's a circle, jobs that needs to be done by the department. Okay, so it could be anything in the family or whatever. So I named this want to do circle, the things that you want to do. and should do circle. The things that you think you should do. It's important for you. It matters to you. And maybe you are assigned. Sometimes you are assigned, but you don't like to, you want to do, but you do it. The overlapping area, I called it the autonomous zone. So if you want to have people or your kids or husband or wife, whoever wants to work autonomously, you need to expand the area that is overlapping between the want to circle and should to circle. How do we do this? There is a specific way, but let's think about the ideal situation. Most of us people start with this one. Small want to do circle and not big should do circle, but should do circle is bigger and the overlapping area is very small. People are doing because it's his job. This is a reality. But what could be the ideal? It's like this. Want to do circle is inside of the should do circle, like a fried egg. Both want to do circles are bigger. Both want to do and should do are bigger than the left one, obviously. And the should do circle covering the wants to do. Of course, there are some things that she has to do, which is the white area, has to do. However, it's small and the autonomous zone is very big. So we want to, ourselves and also the people around you, want to create this situation that she wants to do and she thinks that she should do because it's his job. It is important for her. The people who are living in this condition will start the innovation. I'm combining this with the next one, levels of abstraction, but those people who want to do and think should do, and they're able to use the abstraction, she can become innovative. It's kind of funny. So if there's a boss come into your place and ask you or maybe order you to create an innovation. Okay, Mr. Norman, can I ask you to do some innovation? I give you 1 week. Please be innovative.
Okay, I'll give you.
Yeah, it's funny, right? So things happen like that. So it's not possible. It has to start with an individual who is autonomously working, using the levels of abstraction and taking action. So what is levels of abstraction? Do you think you are autonomous? I think you are because you are participating in this one. Well, look at this. Abstraction, levels of abstraction is like a kind of a structure, level, hierarchy. And I call this a skill. Of course, it's a concept. And showing this a little bit long language English, but it is important to understand but utilize the concept of levels of abstraction. Abstraction is the degree of detail at which system is viewed or programmed. So the higher level has less detail, and the lower the level, the more detail. I'm going to show something afterward. As we go up to the levels of abstraction, conceptualization increases and detail recedes. What does it mean? And what does it happen? You can get out of the system and you can view things from outside of it. This is very important. If you are staying inside of the system, what you perceive will be limited. I'm trying to use some picture. This is the picture that I've taken a few years ago inside of the sea. And I'm going to show some kind of, this is some movie. Okay, those fishes are living in the system of the ocean. What is above it? Of course, this one. You see, only few meters below this was that. The fishes were inside of the system. This is the difference between the first system going upwards. Of course, this is just an analogy. What's beyond the left side of the picture, left picture? What is above that? Of course, we have space. If you move far, you can go to the moon. You can see our Earth from the moon. And if you fly far away, you'll be able to see our planet from far, far away. If you look at this, take this as your department. Take this as your corporation. Take this as your industry. Take the picture from the moon as your country's economy. On the right upper side, world economy. You can perceive that the difference of the idea that could come out. If you are only thinking about your department, you'll be able to only think about the things that will be working in that area. If you climb up the levels of abstraction, of course, this is an analogy example. If you go out of the sea and you can fully utilize this earth, you'll be able to think differently. If you go up further to the industry I mentioned, maybe you see things differently and you may come up with a different idea. Of course, your country and world economy. This is just an example, but this will help you understand how. And this is another example to understand the levels of abstraction. So you start with the bottom center, black ballpoint pen. Black ballpoint pen is, of course, a kind of ballpoint pen. You're going up one layer up. And a ballpoint pen is a tool for writing. And it is a stationary. And it is office equipment. So there are always layer and kind of brother sister on the right and left side. Like a ballpoint pen, if you look at that, you have a pencil on the left side and the highlighter on the right side. So all of them are tools for writing. So this is not a linear thing. So like think about this. Stationary, maybe that could be classified as the office equipment. But another way is that to think that as a gift, good for gift. So it doesn't have to go in this way. You could be flexible about that. So if you climb up the ladder of the levels of abstraction, see things from the higher view. If you are given a mission to do the cost saving at expense saving at ballpoint pen, it's going to be hard. But if you are given authority to do the expense saving at stationary level or office equipment level, the opportunities that you can make a difference is going to be bigger. Of course, today I don't have, this usually takes 2 days course of things to understand everything. So it's going to be just touching things. But I hope that you would have a taste of the others abstraction. And by having a bigger goal, which means that kind of bigger goal means that you have higher levels of abstraction. If you expand that, you'll be able to see things differently, see more. You start with the original goal, and you only need to see those 1, 2, 3, 9 dots. 9 dots. But if you have a higher goal, you need to see more. Need to see more means that your potential have an access. You potentially have an access to more information. The areas that are written as a new frontier are not the things that you are seeing, but you have a potentially to see it. Because your brain will sort out information depending on the importance, which means that if you set a high goal and that goal is important, high goal means a higher levels of abstraction goal, will initiate your brain to work so that those kind of information to achieve that will be going to be important and you need to capture that. So which means that the person with having higher goal is more capable. A person with this goal on the left star compared with the top star will be different in terms of the capability. This doesn't need any investment. It only needs the higher levels of abstraction. And you have a view to another opportunities. And you can see that this is a training material. I use this to work together with my students or CEOs to kind of fill out this one so that they would understand level of abstraction and be able to use that. This is the chart that I have on the book that Norma have created together with me. So I hope you'll be able to see it, but it's talking about the futurism and the distance from comfort zone. Today, I will not have the time to explain full about this, but this chart shows that the levels of abstraction is very important. It's going to be the key for anybody to be successful. The simple things that I would say is that what I do together with the CEOs or anybody to help them, I will help them think so that they can move up to the right side, right upper side. Okay, now we have seen the 3A theory. Autonomous people acquire the skill and understanding of levels of abstraction. And if he takes action, he'll be able to make a change. Right? Action is necessary, essential. Can you use levels of abstraction as a skill? Maybe to most of you, it's a new idea. So let's take this as a starting point. All right, Colin, I appreciate you raising your hand, but it's going to be finished in a few minutes, so I would appreciate so that I can keep going and I come back. And action needs to start it and continued. Started and continued. Of course, this is a simple thing everybody knows, but I just wanted to highlight that it's not just about starting action, it's about continuing. Autonomy, abstraction, and actions, right? Last thing about this one is, why can you take an action? There is a reason. Because she has a goal that is far out of her comfort zone. This is another thing that needs to be explained. But that is the driving force for the action. And I'm going to talk about something talk something about the organization and individual goal. But before that, quickly, I'm going to highlight this. So this is what I wanted to explain, but not today to the full extent. Just see it, please. If you have a goal that is far outside of your comfort zone, your brain starts working actively. And with the goal, if you have a high sense of reality, you believe in that goal to be true, your brain will work so that you could create an imaginary comfort zone, not the comfort zone, your current one, the imaginary comfort zone, and the goal side. And if that becomes true, strongly true for you, you feel that that is my reality and this is not my reality, despite what you are living this one. If you could create this condition, you'll be able to jump to that, which means that you want to create this one. The goal is real. If you believe in that, that will become true. It's a simple mechanism. So goal and sense of reality is important, and that kind of goal will support us to take actions. Last thing is about the autonomy. I talked about the autonomy, but if you are employed in the company, it's going to be hard for you to work autonomously. So therefore, this is a solution that I can provide to you. So if you look at the right down side, common goal is the kind of a goal that can be found together with the organization and individual so that she could feel happy working on this one. So the common goal is this kind of goal. So if that goal is achieved, company is happy and she is happy as well. Of course, it is not that easy, but we could find that. And this should exist as same as the number of employees. And at the same time, leader needs to set the high goals. But today, this is another topic. So just remember that there is a way to help the people work autonomously, not just by order, right? Not just by monetary compensation. Okay, then this last one. What is the role of goal setting? Goals that are far out of your comfort zone will help you pull your autonomous power, help you work in a higher level of abstraction, and also take an action. Okay, that is most part of my presentation today. And finally, I would like to summarize how individual and organization and leader will contribute to innovation. As I've talked, it starts with an individual and will be nurtured by the organization and leader. This time, I will kind of split the role of organization and leader, and that is partially aligning with the leading research from the Tashman or O'Reilly. Individual will be the source of innovation. This is what I present to the world for the first time. I believe that this is new, supported by the cognitive science. Number two is organization will nurture the innovation. Of course, organization kind of work together with a leader, but this time I kind of split this leader and specifically spoken about leader's role is to manage the balance of the resources. Some additional concept is this: even if you have talented people, he could generate an innovation, even if the organization is willing to nurture that. Somebody needs to optimally allocate the resource to the area that needs knowledge and expertise at that moment. This can't be handled by a working group. This needs to be done by a limited number of people most of the cases, one or two or three people working on to make a decision on which to invest in. That's a leader's role. That's what I think. Last one is this. Do you believe that you can be innovative? Okay, that is the end of my presentation. Appreciate your participation. Thank you very much. We were not able to break in, so you had to listen to my speak continuously, but I hope you enjoyed. And there are some questions, so yeah, if you have some more time, I would like to try to answer.
Okay, we can do the following. We have a Q&A where you can ask questions, and we have chat where you can put questions on chat that we can all see. So you can do that now. I'd like you also to please give comments, give feedback. What did you think about this? Did you like it? What did you like about it? What would you recommend for us to improve it? Please give us feedback here. Also, if you do give a comment, I have your name, and then I could send you slides. Or you can just go to my, send me an email at Bodek, B-O-D-E-K, at PCS Press. I'll put it on chat again, Bodek at pcspress.com. And I'm very happy to send you a copy of the slides today. I'm sorry that this technology, we're just beginning to really learn from it. We set up a webinar. I think next time we'll run a meeting, because meeting allows us to be more interactive and allows us to have breakout sessions. And one of the real goals of what we call this library study phenomenon that we're creating is we want to study with you how to make study groups very, very effective for you and for you and your organization. We will spend a lot more time on getting you into study groups and helping you set up study groups on your own within your company. Now, we spoke about innovation. It's not 100% clear, because these big corporations would love to be innovative, but they're not. They, as Kazu said, they acquire smaller companies to become innovation. One problem the big corporations have that we have not solved at the moment is fear. Fear is the bottom of the American or the management style so many places in the world. People are afraid when they go to work. They're afraid to make a mistake. We have to get rid of that fear somehow. I think we're going in that direction. If we can get our companies to be really socially responsible, if we can have these corporations live up to their commitment, we could get fear out of the workplace. So if you have any other questions, please put it on the side. And Kazu, you have the chat that you could look at and see if there's anything you could address, or the question and answer session. Okay, not really, but maybe if chat people are looking for it. Okay, I want to thank you, Kazu. You have been so very innovative in your life. And it's not easy to communicate how people can really be innovative. You've done a great attempt today. Levels of innovation, of abstraction, is a wonderful concept. We have to work more on how we can raise our level of abstraction, how we can set ourselves back and see from a different perspective. How do we really learn how to focus to have a different perspective? Of course, I recommend all of you learn how to meditate. Meditation is a wonderful process to have you go deeper into yourself and to actually raise your levels of abstraction. And in the future, I'm going to ask a meditation master that I know, he's excellent, to come and lead one of our sessions. We're going to run them every other week now. We might skip the week during Christmas and New Year's, but after that, we'll do every other week. And we do intend to run them weekly. So I thank you all very much for coming today. Kazu, do you want to have any final statement before we break?
Well, I just see some questions here, so I just briefly would like to ask. Well, somebody talked about if this is about the internal kind of internal motivation, and maybe it has sounded like that there some relationship with the internal thing, but at the same time, what I think is that by taking action, we become more stronger and we'll be able to move forward. So, and also the levels of abstractions that I've explained today is to think from the higher layer so that you'll be able to see yourself from the outside, which enables to open up your mind so that you could see something new to take an action. So those kind of things work together. So this is not necessarily about the internal motivation, but it is about how we really take an action. And there another thing is about fear, eliminating fear. So fear is a kind of intrinsic thing that we have in our mind. So, and we know that when our brain is kind of a old part of our brain is working, it is kind of causing our fear. But when we are thinking logically, we can kind of slow down the work of that area, and so that we will be able to use the frontal cortex area, so that will kind of lower the fear, which means that you'll be more kind of reasonable and kind of manageable. So that will help you to become kind of deal with your fear. So if you starting to feel the fear, what I recommend is to write down what you're feeling so that you could view it objectively, and you will start to feel that, okay, this is what I'm feeling, but it's not what really is happening, and you'll be kind of relaxed. Okay. All right, so I just answered some questions, and maybe I will not be able to cover everything today, but this is only a start. And as Norma mentioned, we are kind of have published the book. The pub date was when was it? Is it December someday?
Well, the funny thing is we made December 15th
Okay.
as the publication date of his new book, which is really wonderful. I'm sure you'll all enjoy it. It's going to be coming out in soft cover on Amazon on December 15th, but something mystical happened. Is I'm fooling around and I put it on Kindle. So I'm fooling around, and since I'm fooling around, it's available on Kindle for $2.99. If you all rush, you'll get it at an amazing bargain at this moment, because I'm trying to discover how Kindle works for us. So the other thing is I would like very much is for you to help us. So we're trying to put something very dynamic, very unique together, and we want to share this with the world. So I would like you to tell others about us. Tell others to sign up with us so we can have their email address. We have about 500 emails at the moment. We're trying to build, we have a choice. I wanted to charge you money. I did. I still want to charge you money, but I haven't done that. But I have one other way, which is to grow this event. If I can grow this event, then the future will take care of itself. So I'd like you to help us to attract other people to come to take part in this. And so thank you all very much for coming. I enjoyed the session very much. I hope you did. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Kazu. It was wonderful. Thank you. I'm just copying all of the comments that people have sent in. Thank you. Take care, all of you.
Right. So I'm gonna get out. See you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.